Hi guys, it's Tara and welcome back to Crafting with Curly Cues. Today I am sharing another fabulous Gerda Steiner Designs product for you today, and I have this adorable little kitty snuggled in his blanket card to share with you. So to start, I'm going to take this really cute stamp set with all these fun little kittens doing all kinds of mischievous kitten things, and I'm going to stamp this little kitty that is snuggled underneath the blanket, and I'm going to stamp that on some Nina 110 pound solar white cardstock, and I used some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink for that. That is my favorite ink for Copics. So I am going to obviously be Copic coloring this little kitty in, and I wanted to color him like my kitty Egon. So I am using orange tones to make this an orange little kitty, and you're going to see that I kind of go back and forth because I think that I got my tones a little closer together than I wanted. Like I wanted those stripes to be a little bit more pronounced. So I'm just going to kind of fiddle with this until I get the shading the way that I like it. I'm using some tip to tip technique to get some of those lighter colors to blend in with those darker colors just a little bit better so you don't get such harsh edges. And then here's where I do come in with that little bit darker orange and add just little tiny bit of deeper shadows and make those little stripes on his face just a little bit darker. So he of course has to have some rosy pink cheeks because Egon has rosy pink cheeks. I think he would probably be like, Mom, OMG, if he heard me say that. But I mean, he's a cat, so he doesn't actually talk, but I imagine that he does. And he probably has a whiny teenager voice. That's what I envision for Egon. That's kind of the attitude he has. He has like whiny teenager attitude. So anyhow, now that the kitty is colored, I'm going to move on to the little blankie. And so my inspiration for the coloring is that I'm going to use that really super cute piece of pattern paper from the new Doodlebug 6x6 paper pad that is kitty themed. I forget what the actual name of it is, but it will be listed in the supplies over at my blog and down below. And so I wanted the blanket to be green because there's a bunch of green hearts in that little pattern paper. So that is kind of the concept of this design today, is that I wanted to use that pattern paper with these kitty stamps. And this is one of those cards, and I'm sure you guys have all been there, where in my head I'm like, this is going to be such a quick card, like it'll just come together so fast because most of it is just layout, like it's just getting the pattern papers cut down. I barely have to do any coloring, just this one little image, and easy breezy, right? Like that's how it totally should have been. So not the case. Like I was just so distracted. I have a craft fair that I'm prepping for this weekend. So I was trying to my friend was helping me, bless her heart, get some of that taken care of. So I was trying to help her with what she was doing while I was trying to make this cart. And I just got so this just took way longer than it should have. Not because it's not an easy card to make, but just because I am just all over the place right now. But anywho, I am just realizing right now watching this video that lightest color that I used is a yellow. I totally thought that was green this whole time. It worked beautifully. It made the perfect color blanket, but that's just funny. Like I thought I had grabbed G40 or something, which is a really light green, but no, that's yellow 00, which is way different. Anyway, I like the way it looked. It turned out totally cool. So now that he's all colored, I'm going to add a little bit of shadowing underneath him so that he's not just kind of floating, especially since this image has such a flat bottom. You definitely want it to look like Kitty is on something. Otherwise, it's really just going to kind of look like that blanket just stopped for some reason at that one point in time. So now that he's all colored, I'm going to use a little stitched rectangle from Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to run this through my Big Shot and cut the little kitty out. So he's going to be a little focal image on the card design, which mostly revolves around the pattern papers from that Doodlebug paper pad. So while I have my Big Shot out, I am going to take that little heart pattern paper that I showed you earlier on the screen, and I'm going to take there's that pattern paper pad. So stinking cute. I think it's so, this last Doodlebug release just made my heart go happy dance. I love the kitties. I love the cacti. It was just super fun. I still don't have the Fun in the Sun paper pad though, so I got to get my hands on that. But anyway, I'm babbling. So I have the medium stitched scalloped border die from Lawn Fawn, and I am going to run that through my Big Shot once on the side of this paper. And now I'm using my grid mat to figure out where I want to place the same scallop border die on the other side to make it the width that I want for my card design. So I'm just using my grid mat as a ruler. I do end up actually running this through again later off camera because it was a little bit wider once I kind of got stuff on the card than I wanted it to be. But I did the exact same thing. I just ran it through that way. So now I'm taking some just white Neenah cardstock and I'm creating a little piece to go behind this just so that there's a little bit of offset between this pattern paper border and the background piece, which is a really subtle gray paw print piece of paper. Um, I think it's super, super fun. I almost wish I'd picked something a little bit more vibrant for the background, but this super subtle paper is just, it's perfect. So I did cut that down to 4 inches and I put it on this top fold card here. So it has just a little bit of white on either side of the little gray paw print paper. And now I'm taking that white piece of Neenah that I had made that's going to kind of be the edge for my vibrant strip in the middle, and I put that right over the top. That was cut just a tiny bit crooked, so I just used my trimmer just to straighten up the bottom of that before I moved on. And I also used my trimmer to cut down a piece of 2mm craft foam. So this is how I'm going to pop this strip up so that it's nice and supported all the way down. And I'm just going to adhere that right on. And then here is where I have some serious, like my brain just, I don't know what's going on here. So I wanted to wrap this vellum around this piece before I put it on the card front so that the vellum was adhered. Well, I forgot that this piece is still 6 inches long because it came right out of the paper pad, right? So I'm like, okay, unpeel the vellum, put it in my trimmer, trim it down to 5.5, right? Well, I don't know about you guys, but anytime I try to trim ahead of time to the right length, I mess it up. So as you can see, I get this on here and this piece is still too long. And it's probably honestly because I trimmed that little piece off to straighten out the bottom. But now I'm having to peel it back up, peel the vellum off. I kind of stick it down loosely, trim it up, peel it up, put the vellum back. So I left all this in here because I just wanted to show you guys this is the process. Like this is the reality, right? It's like you start to put the card together and you're like, what the heck is going on? That is not how that was supposed to work. And you just kind of roll with it. So I did a lot of peeling. I did a lot of re-sticking. So that's totally fine. You can't tell when it's done. So roll with it, right? So this little piece of paper is in the paper pad, and I am really bad about never using these little, I know there's a name for them and I'm totally drawing a blank, but these pieces that come preset with like sentiment strips and little design squares and all that kind of stuff, I'm really bad about using them. So I was like, you know what? Rather than use one of the sentiments from the stamp set, I am going to use some of these really cute little strips in this paper pad. And there was one that said time for a cat nap, which I thought was so perfect for this little kitty snuggled in this blanket. So I trimmed a couple of those strips down. I got the time for a cat nap, and then I have one, just a little gray one with some hearts, which I thought was sweet to go with that strip that's behind my kitty. Thought it coordinated well. So now I go a little dimension happy. And it ends up being okay, but man, in real life, this card is just popping off the card base at you. Like I would not put it through the mail. That's for darn sure. So I just trim those little paper strips down, the little sentiment strips, and I'm going to stick it right underneath Mr. Kitty there. And see, this is another spot where I stick it and then I have to re-stick it and then I re-stick it again. But it's fine. Because if I would just keep my big mouth shut, you'd never know that I had to stick and re-stick, and I could have edited it right out of there and you never would have been the wiser. But I prefer honest card making videos, guys. This is anyway, so I stuck those on there. I left the ends up just a little bit so that added a little bit of dimension. And then I actually took an extra strip of that heart cardstock and cut some of the hearts out, and I put them on top of the vellum. And now I'm using the Barbie mix of sequins from Cat Scrappiness. This is super pretty, like this really vibrant, amazing pink. And then it's also got some sparkly clear, like 6mm, and then it's got some little itty bitty, like they've got to be like 3mm clear sequins that are like super tiny. So I just scattered some of those around. I thought the colors went really pretty with that pattern paper. Scattered some of those around and use my micro glue dots to adhere them. You can see I was going to use some of those open yellow circles, but I just couldn't. This card was taking me so much extra time that I was like, you know what? The pink and the clear look great. I'm just going to leave it at that. So I am adding some details with my white gel pen. I used my black glaze pen to add some shine to his little kitty eyes, and I used my clear glaze pen to put some shine on his little nose. And then I'm using my Spectrum Noir sparkle overlay pen to put some shine on the blanket and then those little hearts. Off screen, I did add some glossy accents on all the hearts, just because I couldn't help myself. So here is the finished card. There's a nice close-up, and look at all that sparkle. Ooh, I love it. My little Egon kitty snuggled in his blanket. I think it's super cute. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. All the supplies that I use are going to be listed below and over at my blog. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to check out the description box below so you can shop Gerda Steiner Designs, and you can also join me on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Thanks, guys. Bye.